Funky brother, good to see how you doing. How you been? Kerry, good to see you. How you doing? What's up, brother? How you been? Comatose, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Tor, good to see you. How you doing, Tor? How you been? How are we, Miles? I'm doing great, Funky brother. Evening, Miles and family. Ian, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. How's it going? It's going great, Artistic. Good to see you. How you doing? Hello, Miles. T, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Troy, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I'm going to switch over to YouTube. No problem. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Butch, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Olivia, hello, Miles. How you doing, Olivia? Good to see you. Evening, Miles and CMF. Pierce, good to see you, brother. How you doing? How you been? So, let's do a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about tonight's episode. This is about episode 225 of the CMF Live, which is incredible. So here's a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's live. We're going to be talking about the former finance minister of Germany talking about Bitcoin's value and how it could maybe add or not add something to Germany's essentially economy. Then we're going to be talking about Meta Planet, which is one of the companies that's been following the footsteps essentially of MicroStrategy investing into Bitcoin. Then we're also going to be going through news topics related to the US financial advisors. US financial advisors are coming forward essentially and talking about how cryptocurrencies are pretty much the next move, and that's going to be happening in 2025 and beyond. We're also going to be talking about how 40% of the people worldwide now own some sort of cryptocurrencies, which is incredible. So we're going to go through some data points essentially. We're also going to be talking about how the next wave of ETFs is going to be 2025. We're going to get a multitude of ETFs coming in 2025. There's a perspective coming in from Eric, who is a Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst. We're also going to be talking about how cryptocurrency critics at the SEC are falling one by one. We have some good news from the SEC. Those are the words that I never thought I'd put next to each other. A sentence that I pretty much thought I would never have to say, but good news from the SEC we're going to talk about tonight's live. We're also going to be talking about the Fed rate cuts, a perspective coming in from Wall Street. We're also going to go through news topics on Charles, the founder of Cardano, talking about the XRP ledger and the RL USD stablecoin that's just been released essentially today. We're also going to be talking about the European Securities and Markets and Exchange Authorities. So in other words, the MiCA regulations, the final movements have been done, and it's going to take full effect by the end of this year. We're also going to be talking about MicroStrategy on tonight's live, right? Essentially, Michael Saylor talking about how Bitcoin can be the resolution to government debt crisis situations. We're also going to be talking about China on tonight's live. As I explained yesterday, we're just about going to skim a recession. So millimeters away from the recession is where we're heading towards, so which is a good thing. So that means no recession pretty much is on the way. The UK is just about skipping a recession, as I explained yesterday, and the US seems to be skipping a recession as well. China's news just came in as well. They seem to be also skipping a recession. And the EU also seems to be skipping a recession, which means the market is going to stay bullish going forward, essentially. We're also going to be talking about Tim Scott, essentially, on tonight's live as well. A US Senate banking chair has essentially came out and said that crypto is the next wonder of the world. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding matters from Stripe and USDC. Today was obviously the day that essentially RL USD was launched, and today is also the same day that USDC decides to release some news that their payment system is also going to be used by institutions, and it's not just pretty much RL USD. Also, today was the day that Tether decides to somehow re-enter into the EU market space by going through a third party. Don't know how that's going to work out for them long term. We're also going to be talking about Ripple's RL USD on tonight's live and pretty much what is next for Ripple's RL USD, what's in progress, in other words. Now, before we go through any of these news topics regarding Ripple's RL USD, stablecoins, rules and regulations, perspectives from government members, and essentially world news and adoption rates and ETFs that are going to be happening next, a form of ministers of finance, Just want to say to everyone, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. I'm your host, as I am every single night, Monday to Friday. And on this live, I talk about the most recent thing, the recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about how the world is transforming into a digital space. We also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, don't be shy, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. Also, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody that's right now retweeting this live on X, because I'm getting notifications. Thanks so much to everyone on X that's retweeting this live, who's putting a comment, who's liking this live. And thanks so much to everyone on YouTube who's also liking this live as well. So the live show has officially started. If you're new, welcome. If you're a regular, let's go CMF. The first news we are going to be covering is regarding a perspective coming in from a former finance minister from Germany regarding crypto assets. But before we go through that news, let's go straight inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into that news. So let's see what's going inside the comment section first. We were at here. Hi, Miles. It's becoming increasingly difficult to find the live streams easily. That is a bit weird. Telegram. So if you go straight to the Telegram group, they post it automatically. Or turn on your ring bell notification so you know when I go live instantly. Hi, Miles and CMF. Dennis, good to see you as well. How you doing, brother? How you been? Hello again, Miles, and evening, CMF. Thank you, brother. Good to see you as well. How you doing from YouTube? Hello, Miles and CMF. Let's go RL USD. Let's go Ripple. Scott, good to see you as well, brother. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, Miles. How are you? I'm doing great. Callie, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Let's go XRP. Let's go Scott. Good day, Miles and the CMF. Mike, good to see you as well. How you doing, Mike? How you been? XRP not going high for the time being. Yes, it's just been launched. Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been, Shelly? Good day, Miles and CMF. You are looking a little bit tired. No, I mean, it's been a long day. Let's just put it as that. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Bull XRP, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Joe, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles and CMF. Let's go, Joe. Golden Dragon, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hello to my CMF on YouTube. Scott, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Share the live. Hi, Miles and family. Golden Dragon, good to see you as well. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Lena, good to see you as well. How you doing? Some say XRP can't go high numbers and just stay low. Well, everybody's entitled to an opinion, but opinion is not correct, and facts are facts. Sticks to the facts. Makes it easier for you. Now, the first news we're going to be covering on tonight's live is from a former finance minister from Germany. So he's basically came out and said that Bitcoin is not recognizing the value. So here is his perspective. Christian Lindner, the former finance minister of Germany, has questioned the country's leaders for not adapting Bitcoin economic opportunities, especially as the US moves forward with crypto innovation. Remember when I said to everybody that no country wants to be left behind from the American market space because America is headed towards cryptocurrency hub, Bitcoin reserve asset, rules and regulation, banks and institutions, and ETFs. All of that's going to be happening in 2025. And America's market space is going to take off, and the crypto space is going to take off with it. And I said no country wants to be left behind. Well, a former finance minister from Germany has came out and said that why the hell did Germany sell their Bitcoin? Because now we're falling behind of the American market space. The leader of the Free Democratic Party, Christian Lindner, questioned the German government for failing to adapt Bitcoin's economic opportunities. He pointed out that the key German leaders missed the chance to use Bitcoin for growth for their economy. His views were strongly supported by his parties, the FDP, but some in the such a crypto community questioned why he spoke up so late. Linder's comments criticized Germany for falling behind in the crypto, especially when compared to the US. He also criticized as the valuable financial tool. He directly called out chancellors, ministers of economics, and oppositions and leaders for not essentially seeing Bitcoin as an opportunity that they could have had. He said, I have not heard from the federal chancellor, the minister of economics, or the opposition leaders that a new crypto-friendly policy is now being implemented so far. He also highlighted that the nations like the US are advancing their crypto strategies, but Germany is falling behind. The US will use the advantages that we could also have with Bitcoin and crypto assets. Linder added, calling it a missed opportunity for the country's economy. Linder's criticisms also comes as the US takes bold steps towards embracing cryptocurrencies under Donald Trump's leadership. Trump has promised to make this essentially the US a crypto capital of the planet and proposed creating a national Bitcoin reserve which supported crypto industries as a whole. In contrast, Germany's approach to Bitcoin has faced criticism. Earlier this year, the German government sold 50,000 Bitcoins, which was seized for legal cases, when the Bitcoin was valued at around $53,000. With Bitcoin now hitting a record over $107,000, being said that Germany essentially lost billions in Bitcoin profits. Saxony sold Bitcoin worth billions at half the price. Linda pointed out that he mentioned how wrong the decision was. Within a Free Democratic Party, FDP, Linda's support for Bitcoin has got strong backings. His colleagues Frank and essentially praised him on social media platforms. Christian Lindner supports Bitcoin in Germany and must seize the opportunity, not let the US take the lead. Finally, this is great, by the way. Remember when I was talking yesterday on this live and I said there's going to be a time period where countries are butting heads on who's going to be first, which country is going to be first to bring the regulations for the crypto space and to get their country rolling, adapting. And all of this, I said, just means more money, more money, more money for us. Because if we're positioned correctly in the correct projects, then all this money is going to be flowing into towards our projects, because the ones that we're holding, so XRP, XLM, XDC, and so on, HBAR and Cardano, projects that will benefit from rules and regulations and banks and institutions flowing inside the market space. So on that basis, you can see what I was talking about yesterday is what Germany's talking about today. How they're falling behind, how they're losing the opportunity, and how they can't let the US take the lead when it comes to crypto assets. We genuinely went from a market space where nobody wanted to touch crypto to a market space now shifting into 2025, where every government, every business, every institution, every bank wants to be involved in crypto assets in 2025. Every country wants to be involved, and it's only because of Trump. And as I said previously, thank God Donald Trump won. Also, he suggested that Bitcoin should be included in the reserves of the European Central Bank and Germany's bank. As the 2024 European elections, the party has pledged to support digital euros, while essentially ensuring citizens' privacy is protected. CBDCs, as I said, is going to be happening no matter what. Linda's speech also received mixed responses from Germany's crypto community. Some praised him for essentially bringing Bitcoin into the parliamentary discussions, while others criticized him for speaking up too late. The man had almost 4 years as finance minister to have a necessary debate, and now there is a fire, or he notices Bitcoin doesn't need politicians. Politicians need Bitcoin. Someone mentioned this in his tweets. Linda also warned that Germany risks falling behind like the US with crypto innovation. He urged leaders to recognize Bitcoin's value, saying we can't afford to ignore Bitcoin's value any longer. The opportunities are too significant to let slip away, and we need to get involved inside the crypto space. Genuinely is all I've been saying since the past few days, essentially, and the past weeks as well, talking about how 8 companies follow MicroStrategy's footsteps into creating a Bitcoin reserve. The United Kingdom follows Slovenia for tokenization projects. And the biggest market space on the planet, the US market space, going pro-crypto, everybody's going to follow them. More money, more money, more money for us, if you're positioned correctly. Now, moving on essentially to MetaPlanet, but keeping it relative to the topic. But before we do that, let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see what's going inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the next news. So let's see where we were at. Some say XRP 12,000 coin, saying this is possible or crazy. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but opinion is not correct, and facts are facts. Stick to the documentations, you'll be perfectly fine, to be fairly honest. Happy Pisces, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Evening Miles and CMF, Manny, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Well, I'm sorry to say, but the US is going to take over cryptocurrency, take over the world, everything. I agree 100%. Miles, is quant good for futures? First, some say is good now, not good. Yes, no. Quant is good. There's nothing wrong with quant. Hi, Miles. Hope you're well. Zach, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? The US will never have Bitcoin as a reserve. Something will happen with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a good for future. Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you. How you doing? Miles, is 150,000 XRP good? Yes, it's great. Now, MetaPlanet. MetaPlanet rises, essentially MetaPlanet, another company that's following MicroStrategy's footsteps, raises another $30 million in bonds to boost Bitcoin holdings and their strategy movements. MetaPlanet Inc., the Asian, essentially MicroStrategy, has declared the 4th series of its yuan, essentially denominated ordinary bonds with the value of 4.5 Japanese yen. Essentially, the money received from this bond will be used to buy more bitcoins, an investment plan of the company. The bonds, which carries an annual interest rate of 0% per annum, are due on June 16, 2025. This company has earlier issued warrants to fund the redemptions of the bonds through profits made by Metaplanet. The company has remained essentially keen on developing a systematic way of acquiring bitcoins for the last 8 months. By using low interest borrowing to buy more bitcoins, this strategy shows that Metaplanet is confident with Bitcoin as an asset for the future, as a reserve asset. Metaplanet's aggressive Bitcoin acquisitions essentially strategy has significantly elevated its position among corporate Bitcoin holders in the Japanese market space or in the Asian market space in general. This approach mirrors of that MicroStrategy has US-based businesses intelligence firms known as their substantial Bitcoin holdings. The consistent issuance of bonds has enabled Metaplanet to allocate increasing capital to Bitcoin purchases. This has positioned it as a leading Japanese corporate holder of Bitcoin. In the previous bond issuance approximately 1 month ago, Metaplanet raised another 1.75 billion Japanese yen through private placements. Each bond was priced at $43.75 million with an annual interest rate of 0.36%. The strategy also was backed in particularly by Metaplanet, which at the time held nearly $100 million in Bitcoins. MicroStrategy has continued its Bitcoin also purchasing, recently acquiring another 15,000 plus Bitcoins. And Metaplanet has expressed plans to continue expanding its capital operations through multiple bond issuance in the future. This is, honestly, it's good to see, definitely without a doubt. But what it does tell me is, and what I've been saying for the longest time, that companies don't care what the price of an asset is. If they see potential in it, they're going to go head first into that asset, which is basically what's happening. If people, a long time ago, people would have told you inside the crypto space, institutions will never buy $100,000 crypto assets. Institutions will never buy $100,000 Bitcoins. It's crazy. People would have told you inside the crypto space that institutions will never buy $50,000 Bitcoins. Institutions want $10,000 Bitcoins, $20,000 Bitcoins. It's crazy. Where are they going to get the money from? The people that talk like this don't really understand how the corporate sector works. They don't really understand how much money is actually spinning around the world, because you have institutions lining up buying $100,000 Bitcoins. You see how things work inside the corporate sector is very simple. There's a lot of money, first of all. There's a lot of money. Second of all, if they see potential in any asset, the asset could be $1 million per an asset if you wanted to buy it. If they see potential as a 5-year plan of making some sort of money on it, they're going to go for it, because they normally buy an asset for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years or 20 years to reach that goal of profit. Inside the retail section, we buy assets and hoping to make profit next week and jump out. Institutions, they hold an asset for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 25 years minimum to see that profit coming in, flowing in. But honestly, two things it does tell you when you see companies buying an asset at $100,000 is, one, institutions have more money than you can imagine. They're not looking for a bargain. Two, they're buying for 5-year projections. Which means, and it's, by the way, the same people that told you institutions are looking for bargains, they're looking for cheap Bitcoins, $20,000 Bitcoins, are the exact same people telling you that XRP will never reach $10, XRP will never reach $100. They're the exact same people. Because they don't really understand how much money is really spinning around the world. Everything's not on paper. You've got to realize this. Not everything is on paper in this world. This world is incredibly manipulated and twisted. And the amount of money spinning essentially the amount of money that's spinning around the world is not what it states on paper, especially on the side of the corporate sector. This is why you see sometimes banks get fines for funneling money from family members. And by family members, I mean Mexican family members or Chinese family members or Russian family members. There's a lot of money that's not on paper. And all that money is about to go digital. Everything. Now, before we essentially go to the next news, let's go inside the comment section first. But then, to be fair as well, we're also going to be talking about, quite relatable, we're going to be talking about the US financial advisor who has came out. And he's going to be talking, you know what, let's go to the comment section first, and then I'll tell you what the next news is. It's about a perspective from US financial advisors on what's about to be happening next inside the market space. But yeah, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, This is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's go inside the comment section first. Let's see. Miles, are you dollar cost averaging at these prices? Sometimes, yes, I'll be honest. Even in Miles and CMF peeps, hope all is well. Simple, good to see as well how you're doing, how you've been. Sometimes. Miles, be serious. Don't think there's way too many people backing on Bitcoin as a reserve. Miles, be serious. Do not think there's too many people backing on Bitcoin as a reserve. Yes. Okay. We're going to get to that topic regarding Bitcoin, regarding what my perspective is on that matter. But we're going to get to it because there's one particular news I want to read out before I give you that perspective. When we expect prices high of XRP, many say in the past XRP is not a good coin. Yeah, but those people who said XRP is not a good coin are those people that are right now crying. And honestly, everybody who said XRP is not a good coin is right now crying. Some still can't admit to it, by the way. XRP was sitting at 40 cents for the longest time, 50 cents, 60 cents, or so on for the longest time. And a lot of people said it's not going to go anywhere. And now sitting at above $2. And some people have admitted they were wrong. Some people are still stubborn. I think those people are waiting for XRP to get to $10 and go, okay, maybe this one is a chosen project. Irish family members, all that one. Now, US financial advisors who may shape the fate of cryptocurrencies speak. Have they warmed to cryptocurrencies after recent rallies? As Bitcoin has surged to a record of $108,000. This is a perspective from US financial advisors. As Bitcoin has surged to a record of $108,000, following the November US elections and enthusiasms for President Donald Trump's pro-crypto policies grows, many financial advisors are hesitant to recommend crypto investments to their clients. As traditional long-term planners, we do not currently include crypto in our portfolio allocations, said Collado, CEO of Tobis Financial Advisors and Certified Financial Planner, CFP. Collado essentially cautioned that she advises her clients to only invest in crypto as much as they can afford to lose. Skepticism stems primarily from regulatory uncertainty and the volatility essentially inherent in cryptocurrencies. A Serial Essential Associates survey conducted in April when crypto prices were lower found that 59% of financial advisors do not use crypto or plan to use it. Another 26% said they expected to use crypto in the future, while 12% said they used crypto at a request of their clients, and less than 3% of advisors actively recommend crypto to their clients. And this was a study test back in April. For investors determined to add digital assets to their portfolios, financial advisors often point to ETFs as a safer, more essentially accessible option. It really depends on what the client is looking to achieve and how comfortable they feel navigating this market space, said Ashton Lawrence, CFP, at Marina Wealth Advisors. These are a few US financial advisors giving their perspectives. If you're looking for an easy solution, ETFs may be the best way to go. Bitcoin ETFs have become the vehicle of choice for Bitcoin holders, Brian Hayton, the global head of ETFs at Invisigo, told CNBC. Advisors are essentially warning that their clients to limit crypto investments to 1 to 5% of their essentially overall portfolios, depending on individual risk tolerance, financial goals, and time on horizon. Crypto can play a role, but it's important to view it as a high-risk asset, Lawrence said, adding for most investors, it should remain a small allocation within a diversified portfolio. Now, the main issue for these financial advisors was they're not rejecting the idea of cryptocurrencies in the US, but the main issue was it's not regulated. Well, that issue is going to be resolved in 2025 with Trump. Within the first 100 days, the crypto space should be in some sort of regulations within the first 100 days. Because we're getting a new SEC chairman, this new CFTC chairman, they're both getting control of the crypto space to regulate it as quick as possible. So on the basis of the financial advisors not recommending too much crypto to their clients, it's because of regulations. So regulations come through, they're going to start telling their clients to get involved. Also, the financial advisors said in the US that they are essentially more keen to give advice on going towards ETFs, crypto ETFs, rather than the crypto asset itself, which is a very lazy route. But anyways, the good thing is in 2025, we're going to be getting a multitude of ETFs from altcoins. You know why? Because Gary Gensler was fired. Now, on the basis of the crypto boom and essentially has going to be happening in 2025, but let's look at the stats of where we are, essentially where we are at right now. The stats of how much percentage of the world is in crypto. Because people will tell you inside the crypto space that it's a small amount or a medium amount or a large amount, or we're getting to a stage where everybody's now involved. Well, I actually have some stats, a report that came out for 2024 today. But before we go through that report, let's go inside the comment section first and let's see what's going on there. And then we go straight essentially into the next news, which is a report of the percentage of the world in crypto right now. As I said previously, this is live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see where we're at. We were at here. Good morning, Miles and CMF. Ghost Spinner, good to see you as well. How you doing, Ghost Spinner? How you been? What time can you see XRP's $10 2025? Consider variable change. What will happen to money hidden away in banks owned by politicians, oligarchs, and Russian oligarchs, in other words, money that has been seized? Will the banks use it to buy crypto or turn into CBDCs? I think that will most likely depend on the bank. They'll probably turn into wholesale CBDCs, not retail CBDCs, or they could turn into Bitcoin or any other ETF that's out there. Most likely they would, I think. There's a higher chance it'll be wholesale CBDCs than they'll turn it into an actual crypto asset. But either way, but yeah, it's going to be turned into digital money. Millie, hi Miles, good to see you as well. Millie, how you doing? How you been? Now, 40%. 40% of the people worldwide own or essentially have bought cryptocurrencies. A consensus YouGov 2024 global survey on cryptos and Web3 shows that nearly half of the world's population has essentially interacted with cryptocurrencies. The study sampled essentially adults across Africa, America, Asia, Europe, and revealed that 40% of the people worldwide own or have bought crypto. Now, to be fairly honest, the study was done with 18,652 people. But they estimated as because they got the people that they did the study test with, it was from America, Asia, Africa, and all the continents, 18,000 people, 652, and they did the essentially average basis, so that means 40% are in crypto. Additionally, developed countries are trailing the emerging crypto markets, Web3 and blockchain adoptions. And the findings from the readings: a minority of respondents in Nigeria, 73% of Nigerians are in crypto assets. South Africa, 68%, the Philippines, 54%, Vietnam, 54%, India, 52%, either currently own or have owned cryptocurrencies in the past. On the other hand, less than 1 in 3 respondents in Japan, Argentina, Canada, France, Italy, the UK own or have purchased cryptocurrencies in the past. Africa and Asia also dominate in the numbers of user confident of investing in crypto in the next year. Nigeria 93%, South Africa 77%, lead in the metrics with their Asian counterparts. The Philippines 59%, India 58%, Indonesia 54%, competing for the top 5 nations. That I like, because that means more money for us. Countries are going head to head right now on who's going to be first to bring the rules and regulations in, which is amazing. There is more money for us. On the other hand, many European and Canadian and Japanese and South Korean respondents expressed essentially about investing in those assets. Meanwhile, those essentially Americans and Turkey remained none in this matter. That's only because the Biden administration and Gary Gensler are morons. They're both morons, to be fairly honest. Gary Gensler is a moron and a weasel. Joe Biden is half asleep. But that's only because the US is moving slow of those bases of reasons. But now we have Donald Trump, rules and regulations, and so on. 2025 is going to be absolutely amazing for America. The report also found that there are challenges essentially in the sector, despite the significant strides made in the mainstream cryptocurrency usage. The key ones, it says, are market volatility and scams, sharp price swings and perceptions of illicit activities in categorizing the crypto sector, and many would-be investors from it. Another essentially major challenge is the lack of information on digital assets. Per the survey, many potential investors have a poor grasp of concepts such as decentralization, essentially blockchain, Web3, and where to start their crypto investment journeys. The knowledge gaps tend to increase with the age and are also higher among female respondents. So the study actually does show that more females are in crypto compared to males. This reality highlights the need for more education about onboarding crypto and Web3 platforms safely. Such essentially inventions could benefit adoption rates where people will invest is high, but inadequate knowledge discourages many from crypto markets. The reasonings why a lot of people don't get involved in crypto is because they don't have the knowledge, or they don't bother to get the knowledge in the first place. And this report also ends on a positive note by revealing that many of the survey's participants see cryptocurrencies as an environmentally clean product. That's particularly true for Asian, African, and Latin American respondents. However, their European, Japanese, and Korean counterparts say they are bad for the environment. The crypto sector has drawn criticism from many essentially sides of the world who've long labeled it environmentally unsound. There are anti-crypto campaign claims, cryptos are bad for carbon footprints, and water and electricity demands are unsustainable. But it has also essentially fought back with its statistics, countering the narratives. It will be heartening, therefore, for many projects dotting this space to be known as the many reports give it a clean bill of health. Now, what I'm mostly interested about is it's moving. Honestly, there's a lot more people from the retail section getting involved inside the crypto space. But it looks like a lot more females are getting involved inside the crypto sector than males are. But they're saying the biggest issue is education is what's lacking. So here's the thing. Both of those things are being solved. And what I mean by both is regulations is the issues. Institutions don't get involved in crypto. Well, we're about to get a multitude of regulations in 2025. Which means a lot of money is going to be entering from every country. Every market space is going to get involved in crypto because everyone's bringing out regulations. They don't want to get left behind from the American market space. So the biggest issue why institutions don't get involved and banks don't get involved is regulations. So that's going to be solved in 2025. So institutions solved 2025. Retail section, education. That's also going to be solved in 2025. The list of universities and colleges and even schools getting involved in blockchain education in 2025 is actually quite vast. So it looks like the two issues that were holding back the retail section and the institutions from bringing money to the table are going to be solved in 2025. Institutions will get the regulations they needed to bring their money to the table, and the retail section will get the education they needed to bring their money to the table. Problem fixed. 2025 is going to be an exceptional year. We expect a wave of crypto ETFs next year, and perspective is actually coming from Eric. Keeping to the topic of America essentially leading the way, ETFs, as I said, essentially rules and regulations, banks, institutions, new SEC chairman, more ETFs is what America's doing. Everybody's going to follow. More money, more money, more money. Remember that? So Eric, who is a Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst, has came forward and essentially made a quote today saying, we expect a wave of crypto ETFs next year. Remember when I said we're going to get a lot of altcoin ETFs happening next year? About a week back, I said this, and a few days ago as well. Well, Eric thinks the exact same way. Bloomberg's senior ETF analyst, Eric, is expecting a surge of cryptocurrency ETFs to hit the markets next year. In a post on X tagging Bloomberg's analyst James also, Eric discussed the upcoming ETFs, noting that Bitcoin and the Ethereum combo ETFs will be the first to launch, followed by HBAR and then XRP and then Solana, which have been labeled securities and pending lawsuits. Eric has mentioned that XRP ETFs are all happening in 2025, no matter what. In a separate tweet, he also shared by the analyst last month, he revealed that 14 altcoins related to ETFs are currently awaiting approval from the SEC within the next 12 months. He mentioned that Solana, XRP, Hedera, Litecoin, and combined BTC and ETF options. He went as far as saying that the 2 months time, the number of applications for altcoins and ETFs could be actually ripe and triple. However, the planned listings of these ETFs depends on the potentially political environments following Donald Trump's victory in the US elections. Nate, the CEO of ETF Store, said, assume multiple issuers will essentially well prepared for election results, no downside to getting aggressive now. Since Nate outlooks, the 3 important ETF filings have come up. On November 12th, Carry Capital filed for a HBAR ETF. Bitwise filed for a Solana Trust and Delaware on November 21st. The New York Stock Exchange proposed a list of Bitwise combined BTC, Ethereum, AVAX, Solana, XRP ETFs to be happening next year as well. James, from essentially Bloomberg, thinks that in a couple of years, Solana ETFs could get the green light, but he cautions, he said, this government can easily say no to such ETFs, referring to last August with the CBOR withdrawal applications for Van Eck and 21 share Solana ETFs. It is true. Van Eyck and 21 Shares did withdraw their applications for their Solana ETFs this year, which could have brought a lot of money to Solana to the table. But obviously they withdrew it because they know Gary Gensler is not going to look into it. But 2025, new SEC chairman, new CFTC chairman, and it's not just the SEC that's going to be working hard to regulate the American market space for crypto assets. No, it's going to be the SEC and the CFTC with their two new chairmen that are pro-crypto working together to regulate the market space as soon as possible and to approve ETFs within the first 100 days. So meanwhile, Litecoin's ETFs filings from Canary Capital in October seems more likely to pass. According to essentially Alex Thorne, the head of research at Galaxy Digital, Litecoin is a more prominent choice because it's a fork of Bitcoin, has no pre-mine or token sales, which means it's perceived as a more fair asset by the regulators. Honestly, 2025 is going to be incredible. 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028 is all going to be incredible. It's all on Trump. And the Republicans are leading the way. Republicans equals to money. Trump equals to money. Him bringing crypto regulations, America becoming the head of cryptocurrencies, the world follows their footsteps, ETFs, rules and regulations, banks, institutions. You're going to lose count of how much money you're going to make, honestly. Now, moving on essentially from Eric, the Bloomberg ETF specialist analyst, talking about how next year is going to be a multitude of ETF applications happening inside the altcoin space. And we do have 4 to 5 XRP ETF filings already. We have H4 ETF filings with the US. We have Solana ETF filings. We're going to get Cardano ETF filings, AVAX ETF filings. A lot of ETFs are going to be happening. And that means more money coming to the table for those assets from the institutional sector. Now, cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrency critics at the SEC are falling one by one. Now, this is a sentence I never thought I would, use. Good news from the SEC. Believe it or not, good news from the SEC. The same SEC that, Gary Gensler, Weasel, a few other members as well, which I'm not going to be naming. But, that same SEC who's been stifling cryptocurrencies, and Congress has done nothing about it because the Biden administration keeps on stifling Congress to get involved with Gary Gensler. But there was something that was supposed to happen. You see, Gary Gensler leaving the SEC was the best thing ever. Him resigning, saying January 20th, he's out, is the best thing ever. But here was one other issue. Gary Gensler resigned, great. FDIC chairman resigned, great, because he was stifling banks from getting involved in crypto assets. And then there was one person left, excluding Senator Elizabeth Warren, because, but there was one person left at the SEC who, if she was approved, she could be the person inside the SEC that stifles crypto, like Gary. And she's worse than Gary Gensler. Imagine that one. Somebody inside the SEC who is worse than Gary Gensler. And then she was supposed to get a vote nomination before Trump comes in January 20th. She was supposed to get a vote nomination coming January 19th. And Congress had to vote her in January 19th, yes or no, for her to continue in the SEC. And January 20th, Trump comes along. So they were trying to quickly get her approval. So she stays in the SEC and continues stifling the American market space. But good news from the SEC. Her plan failed. The Senate Banking Committee has cancelled a planned vetting vote on the renomination of U.S. SEC member Caroline Crenshaw. According to Fox Business reporter Ellen Turret, Crenshaw is known for being skeptical of cryptocurrencies and will no longer be running for re-election. Although his renomination has been halted, Crenshaw remains a serving SEC commissioner and could continue in his role until his replacement is confirmed or Congress recesses it next year. The issue with that is the moment Trump comes in, she's out. Under the congressional process, the minority party, in this case, the Democrats, usually propose candidates to fill minority seats on the SEC commission. But the president has the authority to accept or reject these proposals. So this is where the issue comes in for the Democrats. You see, the Democratic Party was the one stifling crypto innovation in America. It almost seemed like the Democratic Party hated America. Honestly, it almost seemed like the Democratic Party hated America and favored their competitors for some reason, which was China or Russia. But it seems like they're not going to get their way this time around, because The Democratic Party is the one that's supposed to be replacing Crenshaw. But by the looks of it, the January 19th is cancelled, which means Crenshaw is not going to get a vote of yes or no. And it's going to continue into January 20th and January 21st, which means Trump is in power. Which means if somebody's going to get replaced in the SEC, Trump has to say yes or no. And 1 billion% Trump is going to say no for her. Because she was also the one that voted no against Bitcoin ETFs. You see, the first Bitcoin ETF from Grayscale, where Grayscale didn't get the approval they wanted from the SEC, and the SEC said, we're not going to give you a reason for rejecting you. Grayscale took Gary Gensler to court, the SEC to court. And the judge ruled that the SEC has to give a reason to them of why they rejected it so they can rectify it and move forward, or you have to approve it. Basically, you have no choice. Gary Gensler had no choice but to vote yes for Bitcoin ETFs because they lost against Grayscale. She still voted no against Bitcoin ETFs, even though the judge said, you got to approve it. She was worse than Gary Gensler, and she's about to lose her job as well. So that old saying of, and then there was one, it's genuinely only Elizabeth Warren left, because FDIC chairman out, SEC Gary Gensler out, Caroline Crenshaw out, and then there was one left, Senator Elizabeth Warren. She's going to have no friends, by the looks of it, to stifle anything else inside the crypto space. Under the congressional process, the minority party, also in this case, Democrats, usually propose candidates, but now they can't because Trump is going to come in very soon. That leaves the door open for Democrats, likely influenced by prominent crypto critics, Senator Elizabeth Warren, to push for Crenshaw's renomination. Because if Caroline Crenshaw goes away from the SEC, Senator Elizabeth Warren has nobody. She's going to be by herself. She deserves that. Known for his essentially skepticism of cryptocurrencies, Crenshaw has been a key figure inside the SEC's tough regulatory approach to the industry. But yeah, by the looks of it, it's just going to be Caroline, which is great. I mean, it's just going to be Senator Elizabeth Warren, which is great. Everybody else is out, and Senator Elizabeth Warren can't do anything about it anymore. She cannot stifle crypto by herself, because new SEC chairman, new FTC is going to be thrown away, as dismantled as a government department, and a new CFTC chairman, Trump being in power, Republicans leading the way. Senator Elizabeth Warren might as well resign now and just save if she has any dignity left. Now, moving on essentially from the good news that came from the SEC for once to Fed rate cuts. But before we talk about Fed rate cuts, let's go inside the comment section first. And by the way, her going away means more money for us because no more stifling. Let's go inside the comment section first before we go for the next news, which is regarding Fed rate cuts. And as I said previously, Fed rate cuts are a good thing because it shows that essentially an economy traditional economy is not doing too well, which means you would hedge against it using alternative assets, which every time we have a Fed rate cut, the crypto market space reacts in a positive way. Now, when do CBDCs launch in global? 2025 is when a multitude of CBDCs are coming through. Commenter says, is it true IFNA backed by BlackRock launched their stablecoin today, USDTB? It's not backed by BlackRock. It's not backed by BlackRock in any sort of a way. So there's a third party involved. A lot of misinformation is going around on BlackRock as well. A lot of companies are partnered with BlackRock, and those companies are essentially third parties to BlackRock. And some crypto companies partner with the companies that are partnered with BlackRock, and the news spins it as BlackRock this, BlackRock that. It's the third party that's involved with IFNA. It's not BlackRock. But yeah, there is a stablecoin coming up, but it's not BlackRock stablecoin. There's a third party involved. Hi, CMF and Evening Miles. Peg, good to see you as well. How you doing? By the way, this is a live show as well. If you do have any questions, put it down in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. What do you from? Thet, elaborate. Why taking long term for bull runs? Why is he taking long term for bull runs? That's just how the market works. Airdropper, yes. Thet, elaborate on what your question is. Now, Fed rate cuts. Fed rate cuts guidance will exceed Wall Street's bearish outlooks. Wall Street's rate cuts outlook is overly promiscuous. This week brings an important update for investors everywhere. The Federal Reserve will update its interest rate policies on Wednesday 18th, which is pretty much now. The Federal Reserve will update its interest rate policies on Wednesday the 18th. The consensus expectation is for 25 basis point cuts, lowering the effective rate to 4.4% from the current levels of 4.7%. The more important part of this discussion will be the outlook for the path of interest rates next year. Investors want to know whether policymakers still intend to lower essentially the 100 basis points next year, as the group endorsed in September, or if the viewpoint has grown more hawkish, i.e. essentially less inclined to ease. Back in September, Wall Street was certain those 4 rate cuts would happen by the end of 2025, but today money managers and traders aren't quite so certain. According to Chicago's essentially FedWatch tool, bond market speculators are betting our central banks will lower interest rates by just 50 basis points next year. I agree with some of that assessment. The Fed is likely to reduce interest rate expectations for next year. Recent employment and inflation numbers show the pace of growth is returning to pre-pandemic levels of normal. At the same time, economic outpace has collapsed, like some of the dire predictions early this year. That tells us essentially that the Federal Reserve is achieving its goals of full employment and price stability, and I think it will guide for 75 basis points worth of a rate cuts 2025 versus Wall Street's outlooks for essentially just 50 basis points. This is important for us as a risk asset investors because it means that the cost of borrowing money will continue to drop, which is great. As this access essentially to funds gets cheaper, more people will take loans. Hedge funds will lever up, and there will be more money available inside the financial system to invest. At the same time, the payout for money market funds and bonds will decline because interest rates are falling. That means that investors will seek out better returns in the risk assets like cryptocurrencies and stocks, driving those prices even higher. But don't essentially take the word. Let's look at what the data is telling us. For anyone unfamiliar with the Fed meetings that happen to set policies just 8 times a year, typically those gatherings happen in the first and last months of each quarter. The second meetings of each quarter takes on the essentially added significance. These are meetings where they receive policymakers' summary of economic projections and SEP. At these meetings, each member of the Board of Governors and the regional Fed banks are essentially asked to project where they see economic growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates heading over the coming years. The data is then essentially complied to find medium outlooks for each of these categories. These results don't guarantee monetary policies, but follow the same course. But they also give us an idea of the direction we're heading towards inside the market space. Is it going to be more money or less money? Here is what the September SEP forecast looked like. The part of the table we care about most of the medium projections on the left. By serving these numbers, we get an idea of policymakers' outlooks for growth, inflation, unemployment, and interest rates for this year through 2027. As essentially we can see, the Fed essentially officials predict gross domestic products GDP growth ending this year around 2%, unemployment rates at 4.4%, inflation at 2.3%, and borrowing costs at 4.4%. Then in out years, the group expects each measure to stabilize with interest rates settling at 2.9%. Okay, in the most shortest way to say this, the most simplest way to say this, we're going to be getting rate cuts happening, obviously. Are we going to be getting one this year? By the looks of it, it's a slim chance. But it's a possibility we get 25 basis points this year before the year ends. But it looks like we are going to be getting 4 to 5 rate cuts happening in 2025. 4 to 5 rate cuts adds up to more money in the crypto space, genuinely. The year of 2025 is going to be exceptional with everything that's already happening inside the crypto space, regulations and so on. We're also on top of that going to be getting 4 to 5 rate cuts, which means every time that happens, more money will just funnel into the crypto sector. And because the crypto markets are regulated in 2025, it means the moment we have a rate cut, more money will instantly enter the market space from institutions because they can see a rate cut coming and hedge against it by going for crypto assets. See, when we have rate cuts now, we get some hedge funds entering the crypto space and some institutions from not America, but outside of America entering the crypto space, and Wall Street heads maybe buying some Bitcoin ETFs when we have a rate cut, and the market reacts in a positive way because a rate cut is an indication that an economy is not doing too well in the traditional aspects. Therefore, you would hedge against it using alternative assets. So every time a rate cut happens, crypto market reacts in a positive way. So the rate cuts that we've been having now, the crypto markets have reacted in a positive way, and they will continue every rate cut that happens. But 2025 is the year of regulations, is the year of ETFs, the years of Donald Trump, banks and institutions, new SEC chairman, and so on. So it's all positive around crypto. And every time we get a rate cut, because we have regulations, a lot of institutional money will be flowing even more inside the market space. So not only are we getting money already coming in because of the ETFs and regulations and new SEC chairman, new CFTC chairman, and the entire world following the American footsteps entering the crypto space, because nobody wants to be left behind from Donald Trump's big crypto plan around the world. We're also going to be getting rate cuts on top of that during regulation periods, which is crazy. Honestly, you're genuinely going to lose count of how much money you're going to be making under Trump's presidency when things go according to plan. But you're genuinely going to lose count of how much money. It's just going to be ridiculous, the amount of money. For the first 100 days. The first 100 days are going to be very critical. Now, it's just going to be a cherry on top. Charles is what we're going to be talking about next. So let's talk about a little bit about the RL USD. And we're going to go in and out of Ripple news on tonight's live as well. So Charles, the founder of Cardano, has decided to come out and talk about RL USD. So today, obviously, RL USD was launched, and it's great. Honestly, absolutely amazing that RL USD was launched. So we have a perspective coming in from Charles, the founder of Cardano. He made comments regarding Ripple Labs' newly launched RL USD stablecoin in a response to an update on Ripple's own official X page, essentially. Charles tweeted out saying, "Well done, Ripple. Across the cryptocurrency industry, there are approximately 195 stablecoins supported by the US dollar or other reserve assets. Tether's USDT and Circle's USDC control over 85% of the total stablecoin market valuation, which exceeds about $212 billion. Despite this dominance, companies like Ripple Labs continue to strive to break this market stronghold." Charles' acknowledgements of RL USD's mainnet launch is seen as a way to support the growth of competition within the sector. While uncertainty remains regarding how quickly RL USD will compete with its biggest rivals, broad industry backings provides a solid starting point. Ripple Labs has conducted beta tests of the RL USD stablecoin on the XRP ledger and Ethereum networks as well. The timeline for expanding the token beyond these two networks remains unclear, but there are indications of a potential launch on Cardano for Ripple's RL USD stablecoin. During this period, despite previous tensions between essentially the founder of Cardano and the XRP community, his relationship with the ecosystem appears to be improving. Reports indicate that also Charles and Ripple's CTO David Schwartz discussed on matters of Midnight Network and the XRP, which is true. I revealed that conversation as well that David Schwartz, the CTO of Ripple Labs, had with Cardano's founder. And they talked about how XRP can be implemented into a new platform that Cardano's developed called Midnight. And actually, Cardano's founder said that XRP is a better token than ADA and the Midnight platform that Cardano has designed. Imagine that one. This situation will be retaining uncertainty regarding the future of both networks, indicates potential for collaboration. The global exchange rollout of Ripple Labs' RL USD stablecoin, coupled with the support from Cardano's founder, could enable RL USD to make a strong entrance into the crypto market space. However, the company's performance and essentially competition will ultimately determine its future success. Is essentially RL USD going to take over USDT and USDC? Hell yes. Hell yes. Ripple's stablecoin is going to take over USDT and USDC because USDC depegged once and USDT can't be transparent. So on those bases, the rules and regulations from the EU are being implemented right now. And we're getting to the last stages. The end of this month is going to be when the EU essentially opens up with a multitude of regulations. And one of those regulations is stablecoins, and USDT is not on the list. So here it is. The ESMA provides final guidance in the MiCA rules of implementation. The European Securities and Markets Authority, ESMA, has provided final guidance to help member states prepare for the Markets in Crypto Asset Regulations, MiCA. This new set of rules aims to create a consistent crypto regulations across the European Union, EU, and will take effect on December 30th, 2024. However, some member states still need to pass their laws and fully enforce the MiCA regulations in their areas. ESMA reports highlights 3 key areas of reverse solicitation: draft technical standards for preventing market abuse, and guidance essentially on when crypto assets can be a financial instrument. These guidelines aim to tackle important issues and ensure that the MiCA is applied consistently across all 27 EU member countries. This section on reverse solicitation essentially explains when service providers can connect with EU customers without actively promoting their services. This also helps close regulatory gaps and protect consumers. ESMA has also introduced draft technical standards to improve measures against market abuse in the crypto sector. These standards aim to stop insider trading, market manipulation, and other legal activities could shake investor trust. Additionally, ESMA also pointed out that some crypto assets might be classified as financial instruments based on their specific features. Now, if you're somebody that's not in the EU and you might think this isn't relatable to you, it is, because the EU is a G20 country, which means if you are living in a G20 country, whatever happens in the EU is a very high chance you're about to get the same regulations. This classification is important because it decides if these assets are governed by the MiCA or other financial rules in the EU. Meanwhile, the success of these rules depends on how ready each member state is to adapt them into their laws. The final reports address several critical areas related to crypto asset service providers, focusing on enhancing transparency, facilitating fair competition, and safeguarding investor interests. Some critical proposals include specifications on authorization requirements, notification procedures, assessments of acquisitions, and compliant handling. On authorization requirements, the ESMA listed the information required from the CSAP authorization. The authority aims to establish a string criteria, ensuring the credibility and reliability of service providers in the crypto space. It also mandates that financial entities intending to offer crypto asset services provide specific information as a part of their notification process. This enables regulatory oversight and compliance with established standards. The MiCA, which was passed into law in May 2023, represents a comprehensive regulatory framework for digital assets within the European Economic Area. Recall that MiCA stablecoin regulation came into force in June 2024. This regulation imposed string requirements on fiat-backed stablecoins, with reserves held in custody by third party and segregated by other assets. The European Banking Authority, EBA, now oversees token regulations. Taking over from national authorities, stablecoin issuers within the EU must now hold license as a credit institution or electronic money institution under MiCA frameworks. So, any crypto asset now that wants to operate in the EU must have a license. If you don't have a license, you can't be essentially in the EU. You cannot be sold on any exchanges. And if any DeFi platforms are selling this stablecoin, USDT, or any other crypto asset that doesn't have a license, they're pretty much done for. They're going to get a massive fine. They're going to be banned for pretty much life and so on. So, again, in the most simplest way, this means more money, more money, more money. And to explain it the most simplest way, regulations equals institutional money. No regulations means no institutional money. Regulations means institutional money. And institutions have all the money. So EU coming out with all of their regulations pretty much at the end of this month means next year is going to be interesting. A lot of money to be made. Now, moving on from the EU's regulations and essentially shutting down USDT by the looks of it, MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy Michael Saylor proposes Bitcoin as a solution to the US $36 trillion debt. So JP asked me a question essentially about how Bitcoin is, JP said, Miles, be serious. Do not think there's too many people backing Bitcoin as a reserve. Yes, there's a lot of people backing Bitcoin as a reserve, to be fairly honest. And this was the news I was going to get to give you my explanation. So here it is, the news, and then I'll give you my explanation afterwards. Michael Saylor, the chairman of MicroStrategy, recently proposed Bitcoin as a solution to the United States' $36 trillion national debt. In an interview with CNBC, Michael Saylor urged the government to establish a Bitcoin streak reserve. He compared Bitcoin's growth potential to historical investments like Manhattan, predicting substantial economic benefits. Michael Saylor stressed the need for the United States to have a Bitcoin strategy like MicroStrategy did, which, according to him, was a successful movement. He recommended that the government could sell some of its bullion reserves or take a bank loan to buy Bitcoin. Michael Saylor said an investment of 20 to 25% of this reserve could lead to tremendous capital flows into the country. And this would improve Bitcoin and the US economy, he said. Being a store of value is a long-term play, and I think the long-term trajectory of Bitcoin is that it's a reliable store of value. He said that buying Bitcoin today is as rare as economic opportunity as like buying essentially Manhattan centuries ago. Nevertheless, Michael Saylor is convinced that Bitcoin can scale exceptionally while retaining its value over time. According to him, Bitcoin price could surge to millions per unit by 2045 at a 29% annual increase. Its speed continues, the cryptocurrency could reach $13 million, and the US government could have a powerful debt clearing system. MicroStrategy's recent purchases illustrates this vision. The company acquired 15,350 Bitcoins, which brings its total holdings to 439,000 Bitcoins. The firm has accumulated Bitcoin over the long term for $46 billion. And MicroStrategy's Saylor retreated that the company's commitment to no limits when accumulating Bitcoin. The only comment we have to make about this is that his Bitcoin strategy has dedicated impressive results over the past 4 years. MicroStrategy has successfully expanded its Bitcoin reserves by relying on convertible notes. Bitcoin price continues to go essentially consistently, boosting Michael Saylor's bullish stance. Bitcoin hits a new all-time high, and before pulling back to essentially, the number sitting right now, even as it has seen essentially recent fluctuations, the price has witnessed a 2.79% increase over the last 24 hours, which is a great momentum for the cryptocurrency. According to industry experts, Bitcoin's future growth potential, even a few years later, this optimism is driven by factors such as Bitcoin ETF inflows, regulatory clarity, and increased institutional adoption, as noted earlier this year. The catalyst could actually push Bitcoin's value towards Saylor's long-term target. Bitcoin holds a special properties in Saylor's eyes, so much so that he believes it could solve the national debt. Keywords, national debt, Bitcoin. He said that the early adoption will give the US a streak advantage. Costly purchases later. Saylor, however, predicts Bitcoin will serve as an economic capital of digital era, just as Manhattan's historical economic success did. Okay. It got me thinking slightly. Nothing happens in this world by coincidence in the financial sector. I've always said this, and I will always stand by it. Anything involving money in this world, large amounts of money inside the corporate sector or affecting governments, doesn't happen by accident. It's all coordinated to happen. There's no coincidence in money. Now, on the topic of, who created Bitcoin, as I said previously, Satoshi Nakamoto, Japanese, you got to say it backwards, so it's Nakamoto Satoshi. Nakamoto Satoshi translates pretty much into Central Intelligence. So, what if, because there's always that perception of people inside the crypto space. So hear me out. People inside the crypto space always say that there's two categories inside the crypto space. One is that they say Bitcoin is going to go to zero. And the other side is that Bitcoin is going to go higher and higher and higher. Now, understanding both groups, one group saying Bitcoin will go lower and to zero, then it wouldn't make any sense on why BlackRock is inside of it. It wouldn't make any sense why Franklin Templeton is inside of it, Standard Chartered Bank's inside of it, HSBC is inside of it, or countries doing reserves for it. That wouldn't make sense. Because you've got to understand, these powerful people, these leaders of countries, sit at some sort of a table. The leaders of every country sits at the same dinner table. The simplest way to put it. They all sit at the same dinner table, a table that we never get to see or hear from. So if the category of Bitcoin is going to go to zero is true, then it wouldn't make any sense of why they're investing so much time and effort into it, because it's going to go to zero. And then there's the other category of Bitcoin is going to go higher and higher. Because honestly, it wouldn't make any sense why BlackRock would be inside of it. Because the argument of Bitcoin is going to go to zero, it's not going to. Because the country leaders that are making Bitcoin a reserve, they're very intelligent and sly and manipulative. And they would not put their own countries at risk. They would not put themselves at risk. Better way to say it. Let's just be honest, leaders of countries don't care about the people, they care about themselves. So they would not put themselves at risk. They know things we will never know. Country leaders will know things we will never know. BlackRock's essentially CEO will know things we will never know. JP Morgan will know things we will never know. Leaders will know things we will never know. So if they're going towards this asset, it means it's not going to zero. Ever. So now it just remains the question of why was the asset created? This is the funny part. And the funny part is every country, every government has messed up. Every government. British, American, European, Asian, Middle Eastern, let's just talk about continents. Every continent, every government has messed up. Every country has messed up their finances. Every country has printed too much money. It's not just America that has a national debt issue. The world has a national debt issue. Everybody's borrowed money to countries they're never going to get back. They've printed and printed and printed. And all of those printing and printing and printing has fell on top of our heads. With inflation, with groceries shooting up, rent shooting up, mortgages shooting up, finances shooting up. They messed up big, and they needed an exit quick, by the looks of it. So they thought to themselves, probably, how can we fix this debt issue? Because printing more isn't really going to resolve it. The more we print, the more we're digging a hole. And saying that Satoshi Nakamoto is Japanese, you say it backwards, is Nakamoto Satoshi, which is how you're supposed to say Japanese, and Japanese name. And Nakamoto Satoshi is basically, the translation is central intelligence. It comes to the word central intelligence. And they always leave hints behind. So think about it. Did they just create Bitcoin to get 6 billion people involved to fix their mess? So here's a tweet that I put just before I went live, just before I started this live. I said BTC, Bitcoin, was built to be the ultimate solution to a global debt crisis. How do you get 6 billion people to solve their government's financial mess without them even realizing it? How do you get regular people to solve the mess their governments did without the regular people even realizing they're helping their governments fix their debt crisis? Simple. You set them up. The retail section was set up. Every nation will eventually establish a Bitcoin reserve. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So that just means we're the hedge. We are the hedge. Bitcoin is never going to go to zero. The CIA basically created it as a movement to see, could it be possible? Could we fool everybody to bring money to the table to fix our mess? Governments thought to themselves pretty much, if we create this type of currency, bring it to the table, can we get everybody else to chip in so we can fix our debt issues? So they printed and printed and printed and flooded their own markets, created inflation, put pressure on the retail section, and then created a digital asset. About 2008, we have a massive crisis. 2009, pretty much straight after, Bitcoin comes and saves the day. Nothing happens by coincidence inside the corporate sector. So 2008 happens, massive crisis. Then straight afterwards, Bitcoin comes out and fixes this type of issue. So that the governments just create an asset so we can fix their debt crisis issues. They just fooled 6 billion people on this planet. 6 billion plus people. They got us to chip in to fix their issues, to fix their own debt crisis issues. Because the argument of Bitcoin is going to go to zero never made sense, because BlackRock CEO would not buy Bitcoin, no matter how stupid you think this man might be, or how greedy or how much of a bad person he is. He's not stupid. He will never invest into an asset that's going to go to zero. And is that the reason why China suddenly stopped mining Bitcoin? Because they realized it was a CIA operation. Is that the reason why China stopped essentially banning Bitcoin all of a sudden? China decided to ban Bitcoin all of a sudden a long time ago. Is it because they thought, crap, this is a CIA operation? We're just being fooled. But then by then it was too late, because China was deep in. Russia was too deep in. Middle East was too deep into Bitcoin. And by that time, it was just too deep in. Everybody was in. So they just said, let's just let it roll. Where the hedge? They messed up. All the governments around the world, every country is in a massive debt. And all of a sudden, every country now is creating a Bitcoin reserve to fix what? Their national debt crisis. Every country is creating a Bitcoin reserve to fix their debt crisis. They created this asset to get 6 billion people's money to the table. They fooled the entire world. Where the hedge? They used us as the hedge. They printed, every government printed so much money, created inflation, put pressure on the retail section where groceries, rent, mortgage, everything was through the roof. And then they created a digital asset to bring our money to the table so we can fix their issues. I'll be honest, it worked. Smart. Genuinely. Because every country right now is about to set up a Bitcoin reserve in 2025. And where did that money for Bitcoin come in the first place? Retail section. The retail section were the first people inside of Bitcoin. Honestly, what I tweeted out regarding Bitcoin was built to be the ultimate solution to global debt crisis. It was a setup. How do you get 6 billion people to solve their government's financial mess without them even realizing it? Simple. You set them up. Every nation will eventually establish a Bitcoin reserve. It's inventable. We are the hedge. They used us. They set up everyone. I think that was the reason, most likely, why China realized to themselves, it's a CIA operation. What the hell are we doing? They ban it. But then by that time, it was too late. China funneled so much money into a CIA operation, Bitcoin. But at that time, it was too late. They banned it, but there was too much money already. Chinese money started flowing into essentially Bitcoin. And then they banned it. Russia was funneling money into Bitcoin, but then they stopped. They banned it as well for a while. Because they started realizing on the idea of, hang on a minute, we are about to fix America's national debt crisis. The whole thing was a setup. But one thing we're sure about is it's not going away. They set us up to get our money to fix their own national debt crisis. Every country is about to set up a Bitcoin reserve in 2025. Not a coincidence. Coordinated. So for people who are still assuming Bitcoin is ever going to go to zero, it's not. It was created to get our money to fix their messes. They fooled everyone. Bitcoin is never going to go to zero. And also, you might be wondering to yourself, well, what about the other assets? Well, Bitcoin is created to fix their national debt issues. The other assets, XRP, will be used XRP will be used essentially for a middleman payment transaction. XLM is going to be same scenario. XDC will be same scenario for the corporate sector, and XRP for the corporate sector as well. H4 will play a role. There's a lot of assets that are going to play a role, but everything's a setup in this world pretty much. Honestly, it's crazy. Once you're deep thinking and you're just going, wow, they played everyone very nicely. Because I've always said, as I've been saying for the longest time, nothing in this world happens by coincidence, especially involving lots of money inside the corporate sector. Nothing happens by coincidence. Everything's coordinated. I've been saying for the longest time as well that regarding the World Bank doing testings on blockchain, it was successful. COVID happens. World Economic Forum, they said that they need a reason to get people away from cash. Germs. That's how you get people to stop using cash. Germs. So World Bank does testings, blockchain testings. It was successful. COVID happens instantly. People move away from cash because why? Cash carries germs. There was a surge of Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, Google Pay. People moved away from cash. And then the Russian-Ukraine war created a bigger gap, put more pressure on the retail section, distracted everybody as well. But obviously, Ukraine has an immense amount of gas as well. That's a whole other scenario. There's a lot of things of why things happen. But wow, they set up everything. They set up everyone nicely. Everybody got very nicely set up. But here's the thing. We're still going to make money, though, because we saw it coming. Because we saw it coming, so we're still going to make money. If you're positioned correctly in this very, very rigged world, in this very manipulated and rigged world, if you're positioned correctly and you can see the movements happening before it happens, you're bound to make an incredible amount of wealth. So I'm telling you right now, as I've been saying for the longest time, and I'm never wrong, maybe, no, never wrong. And that's only because I'm very proud of the wisdom God's given me, without a doubt. But if you position correctly, financial projects are going to go ballistic next year and year on year. XRP, XLM, XDC, and HBAR are going to go through the roof because everything's set up to do that. It's all a setup. Nothing happened by coincidence. Everything was a setup to go towards this direction, to fix the national debt crisis. It was all a setup. Fix the national debt crisis. World Bank testing. COVID. Money carries germs. Everybody moves away from cash. During COVID, banks closures, ATMs closures. It was all a setup. We're heading towards that direction of a digital world. They played everybody very nicely. They got our money to fix their mess. But good thing is we're still going to make money. We're going to make a lot of money because we know how this game is played. We know how this game is played. And the rules are very simple. Well, they're simple if you know what they are. I know now. I've been known for a very long time. Just couldn't put one piece of the puzzle together. And this was the piece of the puzzle that was missing for me. I had everything else from all the puzzle pieces. World Bank testings, COVID happens, World Economic Forum, money carries germs, everybody moves away from cash, banks and ATMs closing. We don't have CBDCs yet, but somehow businesses, nobody's accepting cash anymore. I had all the pieces to the puzzle. So it's just one little one, which now I have. They used our money to fix their national debt problems. Wow. They played very nicely. Now, let's go inside the comment section first before we talk about the next news, which is China. Let's see what's going inside the comment section. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't seen my tweet, go and check it out, the one about Bitcoin. In hearing, XRP, HBro, and Chainlink are working together. I can't find anything on it. Yes, XRP, HBro, and no, XRP and HBro are yes, but Chainlink and XRP no. So BS because he wants it, yeah. Hi all, I'm late again. Ripple, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? See the leaders that you think at these tables, none of us know who they are, by the way. That's true. Because it's all calculated with these people. That's we don't even know something bad will happen. Very true. Hi Mouse and family. Alex, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Like I told you, the US government made it, but they are not going to let every single country have a reserve on. That's what I'm getting that. No, I think they are, because the more countries create Bitcoin as a reserve, the higher the price of Bitcoin will go. So the more countries that come in, because it's too late by now. Even Putin said, who's going to stop Bitcoin? Because he knows who created it as well. That's why Putin said, who's going to stop Bitcoin now? Because he knows who created it as well. It's too late now. There's so much money in Bitcoin, you have no choice but to get involved in a CIA operation in Bitcoin. Because there's too much money on the table for governments, not for people. There's a waste of money for people. Don't waste your money on Bitcoin. XRP, XLM, XTC, HBO, better options. But because that's just for. But anyways, they will let countries, JP, they will let countries get involved in Bitcoin reserves, because the more countries that get involved in Bitcoin reserves is what they wanted. They wanted countries to create Bitcoin reserves. Because the more countries that create Bitcoin reserves, the higher the price of Bitcoin will go, which means it will increase in price, which means it can cover the enormous US national debt in Bitcoin. So they will create it. Every country will create a Bitcoin reserve. The curtains from the Wizard of Oz are completely exposed. Govern yourself accordingly. If you still don't see it at this point, be blessed. You have individuals like Crypto Mouse. Let's go, Ray. Thank you for the kind words, brother. Just what I said in the chat. Yep. Yeah, JP, I agree. Even Mouse and CMF. Joe, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? I have a question. Can I message you after the show? Yes. Susie, no problem. Message me after the show. That's why the virus showed up. You couldn't, but they couldn't stop it. Exactly. Let's go, Ray. That's brilliant. Let's go, Kim. Fair point. I did say ages ago that I thought they'd use BTC to reduce their debt. I also think the reset with Change of Digital will also dissolve some debt as well. Yes, definitely. I agree as well what Shelly said. Wow, T, let's go. I can't wait to have this discussion about Bitcoin this time next year, you said. Yeah, so glad I found you a long time ago. Kim, thank you so much for the kind words. COVID also caused many shopping centers, businesses to close, forcing them to shop online, also contributing to lower cash usage. Exactly. Maybe please say hi to my friend. Nope. So, China. China sets essentially a historic 4% GDP deficit for 2025 spending plans. So, as I explained yesterday, it almost seems like every country is just about going to dodge a recession. So apparently a recession is not going to be happening anymore by the looks of it for all the big market spaces. I explained this yesterday that we're going to be just about dodging a recession. The entire world is pretty much going to be dodging a recession, just about. But if the numbers come out the other way, we can still go into a recession. So here it is. I said that yesterday. Today we have this. China sets a historic 4% GDP deficit for 2025 spending plans. China's leadership has approved its most aggressive fiscal stance ever, setting a record high budget deficit target of 4% of GDP for 2025. The decision comes as the country braces for economic headwinds and prepares for a new round of trade pressures, particularly from the United States. Alongside a deficit boost, China has locked its economic growth target at around 5%, maintaining its steady public goals despite ongoing internal and external struggles. This decision, essentially made during the last week's Central Economic Work Conference, CEWC, and December's essentially pivotal meeting, reflects a more proactive fiscal policy meant to contract slowing growth. The increase from its initial 3% deficit target in 2024 signals China's need to inject more funds into the economy, funds that the analysts expect to hit about 1.3 trillion yuan, $179.4 billion. The government will reportedly finance this extra spendings through issuance of budget special, essentially, bonds. These figures, while historic, remain unofficial until the annual, essentially, parliamentary meeting in March. Beijing essentially expected to formalize its deficit and essentially growth plans. Sources cautioned that adjustments to these targets are still possible before final approvals. The State Council Information Office and China's Ministry of Finance did not respond to requests for a comment. However, insiders suggest that the increased deficit in China premeditated strategy to counter Donald Trump's plans for aggressive tariffs on Chinese imports. When he retakes the White House in January, Trump's proposals include a universal 10% import tax and a punishing 60% levy on Chinese goods, a move that could gut Chinese exports to the US valued at over $400 billion annually. China's economy has stumbled through a turbulent year, a spiraling property crisis, and essentially kneecapped investments. Local government debts have climbed to unsustainable levels, and consumer spending has essentially staggered, leaving businesses and analysts skeptical about the fast recovery. Exports have been one of the few pillars essentially keeping China's economy afloat, yet even this lifeline is now on the stage. Trump's return has reinitiated fears of a tit-for-tat trade warfare. Manufacturers are scrambling to relocate productions to avoid US tariffs, but shifting supply chains won't happen overnight. Many exporters warn that the proposed levies will gut profits, hit jobs, and slow investments, depending on China's economy moves. The CEWC summary released essentially from the meetings didn't shy away from these issues. State media reaffirmed the importance of steady economic growth, but stopped short of providing specific numbers. Beijing remains essentially lesser focused on the 5% GDP growth target, a goal that analysts say is more about managing expectations than delivering hard results. Morgan Stanley's analysts predict that alongside the expanding deficit, the quota for special bonds will rise slightly, leading to around essentially 2 trillion yuan essentially in total physical expansions. At the same time, China's central bank has signaled its lowest stance essentially in over a decade. After 14 years of prominent monetary policies, the People's Bank of China's PBOC is ready to embrace an appropriately loose approach. This shift has raised expectations for interest rate cuts and liquidity injections in 2025. Analysts point to the huge rise in total debt during the past decade, and a household, corporate essentially, and government borrowing combined has surged more than fivefold, even as the economy itself tripled. Despite the risk, China is leaning heavily on physical and monetary tools to avoid a deeper slowdown. So China apparently is hedging against that scenario. So it looks like China is also going to be skipping, completely, bad looks of it, a economic crisis, which means if China is going to be skipping that essentially economic crisis, and the UK is going to be skipping that economic crisis, and the US is going to be some way skipping it, and so is the EU, it means that the market's not going to be shattering downwards. We're just going to be going higher and higher pretty much in 2025 and beyond. In simple terms, more money, more money, more money. Now, Tim Scott, moving on essentially to Tim Scott, the US Senate banking chair. Actually, before we go through that, let's go inside the conversation first, and then we go straight into Tim Scott news, because he's giving us some perspective of what's going to be happening inside American market space in 2025 and beyond. Miles owns Ripple? Question mark. Miles does not own Ripple. No. Who owns Ripple? Who owns Ripple? Ripple owns Ripple. It was all a setup. I'm glad I'm in a position. Amazing news, Miles. Let's go, Peg. Let's go, Miles. Let's go, Scott. Miles, your volume of knowledge. My mentor. Let's go, CMF. Share the life. Let's go, Scott. Miles, could you foresee government programs to essentially issue buyback programs of all retail BTC in the future? It's a possibility. It's a possibility. You never know. I mean, they did a whole buyback on gold, if anybody remembers that. Governments got everybody to buy gold. The retail section was buying gold at the handful, fistful, and so on. And then they introduced a law where you couldn't use gold and you had to sell your gold. And then they removed that law a long time ago. But it's a possibility. You never know what governments get up to. Honestly, you never know what governments get up to. So there's a possibility of that happening. There's a possibility of that happening for any other asset as well. Now, Tim Scott, US Senate banking chair, calls for the next wonder of the world for the crypto space. He's basically calling crypto the next wonder of the world. Washington, D.C. reports the crypto industry got a promise for action from the Republican US lawmakers who will have the authority to move digital asset legislations, with key members of the Senate and House of Representatives saying the sector will finally get what it's awaited for years. The incoming Republican chair of the US Senate Banking Committee, Senator Tim Scott, and his counterpart on the House of Financial Services Committee, Representative French Hill, were welcomed with enthusiasm by the Blockchain Association crowd in Washington. In sharp contrast to the uncertain tone of the same event last year, the two lawmakers said that at policy events that both chambers of Congress and the administration of President-elect Donald Trump will be pulling in the same direction to make legislations happen for the crypto space. Crypto is the next wonder of the world, not just US. Crypto is the next wonder of the world. By the way, this man is essentially a Republican. Essentially, he's the Republican chair of the US Senate Banking Committee. The Senate Banking Committee chairman is saying that crypto is the next wonder of the world. The two starting, and he said that how everybody has the same vision. He's the banking chair committee, Senate Banking Chair Committee, and he just said that everybody from Congress and him and everybody around him and Trump has the exact same vision. Crypto, crypto, crypto. Simple terms, money, money, money for us or you. The two starting points, they said, will be the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act. The bill to establish a comprehensive crypto, essentially guardrails that cleared the House this year by a wide margin, and a stablecoin bill that closed to the bipartisan deal, but also ground to a halt over a few sticking points around the whole federal and state governments. Congress needs to do its job, find a compromise and put things right, Hill said, suggesting his aim is to get passage of crypto market structures and legislations, something like the FIT21 bill. In this new few months of sessions, that's a familiar message from the House side of Congress, but it's the Senate that had long been the source of resistance. Senator Scott will soon arrive in his committee chairmanship with a stark reversal of Democrat procedures, and Senator Sherrod Brown's crypto essentially as well. In my opinion, in the next wonder of the world, he said, also promising that his panel would have a crypto offshoot, I'm going to be the chairman that creates a digital asset subcommittee for the first time. A digital asset subcommittee is going to be happening inside of Congress. A crypto department in the US Congress is going to be happening. It's not a normal person that's pushing for this, a normal congressman that's pushing for this. No, it's the senator chairman of the banking committee that's doing this, who's creating the crypto department inside of Congress. He said he's going to be the first person to do this in history, pretty much in American history. Senator Brown, the current chairman, lost his Ohio state race in November, overcome by Republican Bernie Monroe and a blockchain businessman. Brown had been a key constraint to crypto progress in the Senate, though the new top Democrat of the committee will be Senator Elizabeth Warren, also the progressive firebrand from Massachusetts, who is expected to loudly criticize crypto from the sidelines in the next couple of years. Yes, do you know why they said Senator Elizabeth Warren is going to be criticizing crypto from the sidelines? Because nobody's going to listen to her. Not a single person in Congress is going to listen to Senator Elizabeth Warren because she's the only person left that is anti-crypto. Everyone, and I mean everyone, every chairman, every congressman, pretty much everyone, banking committee chairmen, SEC chairman, CFTC chairman, FDIC, everyone is pro-crypto, including the President of the United States. And that just leaves Senator Elizabeth Warren. So yeah, she's going to be on the sidelines and do nothing. Scott acknowledged she's very good at what she does. But he said, I think the future is incredibly bright. And he said he's already started conversations on crypto policies. Scott also just met with David Sachs, Trump's incoming crypto CISO. The senator announced essentially in a statement and praised digital assets as having the potential for the financial world, to add to the financial world. Hill also agreed that crypto legislations can't properly happen without wide bipartisan support. To win, ultimately, you need 60 votes in the Senate. He noted, you need to build consensus. Most Republicans have drifted into crypto camp over the years, a trend that accelerated since last year. But some Democrats, often younger lawmakers, have joined them, accumulating in 71 Democrat votes for the FIT 21 in the House. But the Senate will be closely divided, with 53 Republicans to 47 Democrats. So both parties must be involved in any major initiatives. Also, at the Blockchain Association Policy Summit, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission's two Republican commissioners, Mark and Hester Pierce, spoke about the changes they expect in the agency next year. They criticized the agency's crypto accounting standards, the controversial staff accounting bulletin, the SAB 121, which he said is a very, very wide-ranging ramifications for policies that didn't go through the proper channels. The two SEC members, Mark and Hester Pierce, who worked alongside Gary Gensler, are coming out even more publicly. Hester Pierce and Mark, who worked alongside Gary Gensler, have just came out in front of Congress again and said basically everything Gary Gensler has done was done by his own agenda. And some of them didn't even go through the proper channels, which basically means in simple terms, Gary Gensler, how can I put this in the simplest way? Gary Gensler committed fraud in a way, you could say. Gary Gensler didn't abide by the law. So, for example, the law would state, for example, Gary Gensler will have to get this law approved through Congress and then approve it as a law and move forward and go after companies. Instead, Gary Gensler made up his own law and went against companies, which means he didn't go through the proper channels. This is two SEC commissioners coming out talking about their boss, who's leaving on January 20th and resigning, that he didn't even go through the proper channels, and it's created so much disruption. Pierce said that while the regulator awaits new digital asset laws from Congress, we can say some of this stuff is outside our jurisdiction. We can certainly work closely with the CFTC, she said. Hester Pierce said, we can work with the CFTC. We stand ready to work on things once that's a possibility. I think there are lots of places for us to help, because now the CFTC and the SEC are coming together to make crypto happen faster. Instead of, because Gary Gensler wasted so much time, Biden administration wasted so much time, that now the SEC and CFTC are coming together to move things along a lot more quicker rates. The SEC's sister regulator, the Commodities Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, will likely take a larger role in crypto in the future as well. That agency was represented at the same event by Republican Commissioner Summer, who told the industry audience that it can expect a different future approach to enforcements. He said, I'm not saying enforcements will go away. What enforcements will focus on is fraud, which what it should have done in the first place. Gary Gensler should have went after useless crypto projects inside the crypto space that were committing fraud, not Ripple or Consensus or Binance or Coinbase or Kraken or Crypto.com or MetaMask. There was no point of Gary Gensler going after any of these companies, not a single point. But it did create buying opportunities, I'll be honest. It was a positive. But yeah, what the SEC should be doing is going after fraud, actual fraud, not made up fraud in Gary Gensler's head. Now, but we can see how pro the world is about to be moving, especially in America, where the senator for the next banking committee, chairman, is saying that crypto is pretty much the way forward and is going to be creating a crypto department in Congress. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. The amount of money we're going to be making is incredible. Honestly, incredible. Now, moving on from Gary Gensler's fraudulent behavior to USDC. But before we talk about that, let's go to the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it outside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Elizabeth Warren, and then there was one, pretty much. I might have missed it. Where do you see the price of XRP over the next 30 days? Next 30 days? Excitement is still there. RL USD is being used. Also, we're going to talk about RL USD a little bit later on. Where it's sitting now, a little bit higher is what I would say. The whole actually releasing in 2025, the excitement will be there. The closer we get to January 20th, more excitement is going to build up on the whole Ripple case scenario of either dismissal or settled. The whole purpose of the SEC versus Ripple case was to stall time where Gary and his brother accumulated XRP as much as possible at a lower price. So fraudulent, yeah, pretty much. Now, USDC. Today, obviously being the day of RL USD. Today was the birth of RL USD inside the market space. Remember when I said USDC and USDT are threatened? The day essentially Ripple, the day Brad announced RL USD has been approved by the New York Financial Department Service is the exact same day USDC comes out. We've partnered with Binance. Is the exact same day Tether comes out and goes, we got a new license in Dubai. Look at us. They're very threatened by the idea of RL USD. So you fast forward a few days to today, the birth of RL USD. Today is the big day for RL USD. And today is the day that USDC decides to make this announcement. Stripe enables USDC payments for global contractors, remote. Global payroll provider remote is allowing the United States-based companies to pay their contractors in 69 countries in USDC coin. The new option is the extension of remote offerings in conjunction with payment service provider Stripe. Stablecoin payments complement remote's powerful automation features for onboarding, invoicing, and paying contractors. According to the company's announcements, contractor management capabilities are growing fast, the company said, reflecting a post-COVID shift in the global hiring models. Contractors can receive Circle's USDC coin on a base wallet address. Base is the essentially Coinbase Layer 2 network launched in August 2023. And Remote's employer customers will pay for the service in the US dollars. Remote co-founder and CEO said, we're adding a feature that has been highly requested by our customers, enabling them to pay contractors on how they prefer, while maintaining the compliance and simplicity of Remote is known for. The dollar-pegged USDC makes it possible for recipients to store value in the US currency, which is in many countries provides a hedge against inflation and other economic instabilities. Stripe allows accounts to be settled near instantly rather than waiting on bank transfers and foreign exchange procedures. Stripe began offering USDC payment services in the summer of 2024. It was never in crypto services, since 2018, and then it disconnected and came back in, and so on. Look, it's the timings. It's the timings that I care about. Stripe and USDC have been in partnership since summer 2024. Today, they announce USDC is available for businesses to be used. Look at us. Same day RL USD is being launched. And I'll explain how that correlates. Now, exactly the same day today, Tether makes another announcement as well. Tether is investing into STAB IR to drive stablecoin adoption in Europe. Again, same day RL USD was announced today. USDC comes out and goes, we can also be used for businesses. Tether comes out and goes, maybe we can get back into the EU. Tether, the issue of the world's leading stablecoin, USDT, has boldly released Europe's digital asset markets. The firm has recently invested into STAB IR. You might be thinking to yourself, who the hell is STAB IR? What is this company? Well, STAB IR is a rising stablecoin provider in the EU. This partnership shows Tether's dedication to promoting regulated digital assets in Europe. It's the most dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire lifetime. This is Tether showing dedication of entering the European market space. By what? Partnering with a third-party company. Why not just go to the EU, show transparency, get a license? Why are you doing a loophole to re-enter the EU and making it sound like, this is Tether showing dedication to promoting essentially a regulated digital asset in Europe? You want to show dedication? How about you go and knock on EU's door and go, hi, we're Tether, we're going to show transparency, give us a license, instead of maybe partnering up with an EU company as a loophole so you don't have to show transparency? That's not dedication. That's dodgy behavior. That's what that is. It comes as the region prepares to implement the EU's market in assets and crypto, the MiCA regulations, later this month. Tether's investments in STAB.IR is pivotal for Europe's crypto landscape. MiCA incoming comprehensive regulatory essentially frameworks are set to reshape how stablecoins operate. The new law emphasizes transparency, keywords from the EU, transparency, compliance, and security. Tether struggles a lot with any of those words. Recognizing the opportunity, Tether is aligning itself with STAB.IR. This provider has two stablecoins. The STAB.IR has two stablecoins. The euro-pegged Euro-R and the dollar-pegged USD-R. Notably, these assets are already fully MiCA compliant and backed by full reserves. This investment allows Coinbase's essentially recent delisting of major stablecoins, including Tether's USDT. USDT was delisted from Coinbase in the EU market space. Many believe this move is a part of Tether's strategy to maintain a strong foothold in the European market space. It's so stupid that, just going back to what this is, this provider has two stablecoins, the euro-pegged Euro and the dollar-pegged USDR. Notably, these assets are already fully MiCA compliant and backed by full reserves. Well, isn't Tether's stablecoin backed by full reserves? So why doesn't USDT, I don't know, get a license? Is Tether's USDT not backed by full reserves? What's stopping you from a license? Why are you doing a loophole, Tether? STAB.IR, a European pioneer in stablecoin technology, has rapidly gained traction. It focuses on improving liquidity management, reducing transaction costs, and ensuring strict compliance. These strengths have helped it stand out in a competitive stablecoin market space. The global stablecoin market recently surpassed $200 billion in market capitalizations. Meanwhile, Euro-pegged stablecoins alone have reached nearly $400 million. STAB.IR's innovative essentially stablecoins could benefit from this significant momentum. Also, its integrations of Tether's hardened tokenization platform could further boost its potential. Harden, launched by Tether, makes it easier to convert real-world assets like stocks and bonds into digital tokens. Also, it ensures compliance with Know Your Customers, KYC, and anti-money launderings and AML regulations. STAB.IR's partnership with Harden, Tether in other words, will help expand its stablecoins to more blockchains. This includes Ethereum and Solana, which can improve user accessibility and liquidity. The impending enforcements of MiCA regulations, December 30th, promises to create a fair rules for crypto businesses in Europe. Notably, STAB.IR includes Circle's USDC and EuroC stablecoins, have complied early with MiCA regulations and preparing for the upcoming changes. In addition, STAB.IR has also secured an electronic money institution license, EMI. If you want to operate in the EU, you need to have an EMI license from the Malta Financial Services Authority. Even STAB.IR, who is fully compliant, didn't even go to some established EU country to get a license. STAB.IR could have got a license from France, which are very strict, or Germany, which are very strict, or any other country in the EU, which are very strict, but STAB.IR has a license from Malta. Tether's investments in STAB.IR signals a shift in the future of digital finance in Europe. No, it doesn't. Stablecoins are becoming a key part of the global financial system. That's true. Partnerships like this show the growing maturity of the sector. Complete load of BS. It's, first of all, Tether announcing this on the exact same day RL USD launches. Interesting time frame. That we're re-entering the EU, but technically it's not us. We're going for a third party because we can't get a license. Why? Because they're probably hiding stuff. There's going to be a day. There's going to be a day where that day comes, and the fraudulent behavior of Tether is going to be probably shown everywhere. Because why is Tether going for another company that's already regulated by the EU, who has fully backed reserves, when they can just launch their own token, USDT? What's stopping Tether from launching USDT in EU? And why is Tether doing a loophole to go for a third-party company to use their stable coins and go, we're still inside the EU? And why are they doing it today out of all days? Why are they announcing their announcement today? Same day RL USD is being used. I know why. They're threatened. USDC making that announcement today out of all days, they're threatened. Tether making that announcement today out of all days, they're threatened because they did the exact same thing when the New York Financial Department Services approved Ripple's stablecoin. The day Brad came out and tweeted a few days ago that RL USD is approved by the New York Financial Department Service is the exact same day, a few days ago, that on the same day, Tether made announcements regarding new license in Dubai. Businesses are going to use USDT. USDC made an announcement. We're going to use essentially, we're going to get USDC made an announcement. We're going to go on Binance the exact same day the announcement for RL USD was being used came out. And then today, you know, RL USD gets launched. Tether makes the announcement of going back in the EU. It's a breakthrough. In reality, it isn't. And USDC makes an announcement of, important part, USDC makes an announcement of USDC can be used for businesses. As Ripple's RL USD goes live on multiple global exchanges, XRP surges 5%. The stablecoin launched on both the XRP ledger and Ethereum's blockchain, ensuring broad, essentially, accessibility and interoperability. In a press release issued today, Ripple stated that although the launch of RL USD would initially take place on Uphold, Bitso, MoonPay, Artrex, CoinMina, we would be seeing RL USD getting listed on other crypto trading platforms such as Bullish, Bitstamp, Mercado Bitcoin, Independent Reserves, and Zero Hash the next several weeks. It also said that each RL USD token is backed by US deposits, US treasuries, and cash equivalents in order to make sure it's stable, reliable, and liquid. RL USD is built for financial applications, enabling institutions to settle cross-border payments, access liquidity for remittances and treasury options, and integrate with decentralized finance protocols. So the announcement of RL USD's main purpose is going to be institutions. USDC comes out today and goes, we can also be used for institutions. It acts as a bridge between fiat currencies and the crypto ecosystem, simplifying transitions for entering or existing digital assets. RL USD can be used to collateralize trading of tokenized real-world assets like commodities, securities, and treasuries on-chain. Starting next year, important part here, starting early next year, Ripple Payments, that big payment system that Ripple's been working on all these years, building their financial, essentially, you know, companies coming inside of them, the banks and institutions that are all using Ripple Payments around the world, that big platform. Starting early next year, Ripple Payments will use RL USD to process global payments for enterprise clients. Already, the launch of RL USD is seeing coverage on business media outlets, such as Fox Business, New York Stock Exchange TV, Bloomberg. Everybody's talking about RL USD right now. And that big payment system that Ripple created, Ripple Payments, is going to be using RL USD. All those transactions are going to burn XRP. All those transactions are going to bring more eyes on the XRP ledger. And once this case gets dismissed or settled, which will happen because we have a new SEC chairman, an SEC chairman who's part of Society General, who's also a Ripple partner. Honestly, it couldn't be more of a setup, but you can definitely see how Tether and USDC they're extremely threatened by the idea of RL USD existing. And also on the topic of Ripple Payments, a long time ago, people inside the crypto space would have told you that Ripple Payments doesn't use blockchain. Ripple Payments doesn't use, you know, essentially XRP ledger and so on. Turns out that it's going to. Guess who's right again? because RL USD is going to be used by Ripple payments. Remember when I said to people there's two types of payments for Ripple? There's the XRP, there's the XRP ledger, and then there's Ripple payments. And I said the banks are now using Ripple payments. A long time ago, I told everyone. I said Ripple payments is fast, it's cheap, but using the XRP ledger brings other benefits. It's faster, it's cheaper, it adds contracts, smart contracts, it adds a lot of capabilities. DeFi, it brings to the table is what it essentially does. Well, it turns out they're slowly shifting away from Ripple payments, that traditional payment fast system they created, to the XRP ledger. So that vast group of entities they built, all those businesses that are registered with Ripple using Ripple payments, are shifting over to the XRP ledger. And what do you think is going to happen next? It's going to be an amazing year for XRP. It's going to be an amazing year for XRP and beyond in general. So, all good things must come to an end, which they have now. This is the endings of tonight's live. If you're watching this for the first time, this was the CMF Live. Stands for Crypto Miles family. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles. You can tune into this live Monday to Friday. So tune in tomorrow, in other words. And this was episode 225. Episode 225 you're watching right now. Episode 226 is going to be tomorrow. Drop a follow, drop a like, drop a retweet. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe if you already haven't. Drop a comment, drop a like. If you're watching this on X, retweet, follow, subscribe, like. Go wild. Thank you so much to everybody watching this live. CMF Live. Every night you can tune in. I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding how the world is transforming into a digital space. So let's go inside the conversation first before we do call it a night. Let's see what's going on in there, and then we'll end it. Crypto, JPC's crypto scam. Do not worry about USDC. It is USDT that is going to have a problem. Yeah. Tether's days are numbered. Yes, I agree. Why does Toyota own Lexus? It's because they needed a luxury brand to enter the US market space. But genuinely, everything's falling into plan perfectly. It's like a domino. It's just falling into plan, everything. What would happen if the retail section of a country has more crypto assets than its government? The likely chance of that happening is slim to none. But if it did happen, then people will end up spending it, which means the governments will at the end still have more crypto. Thanks for an amazing live, brother. No problem, come on, anytime. Good night. Thank you. JP, let's go, brother. See you tomorrow, same as usual. Good night, all. Stormy, let's go. See you tomorrow, same as usual as well. Good night, everyone. Thanks again, Miles. Ghost Runner, see you tomorrow, same as usual as well. Great show, as always. Thanks, Miles. Mickey, let's go. See you tomorrow, same as usual. Thanks, Miles. No problem, Stormy. See you tomorrow, same as usual as well. Good night, Miles. Thank you, and see you tomorrow. Mike, see you tomorrow, same as usual. CMF, let's go. Ripple. See you tomorrow, same as usual as well. That was a joke, meaning XRP and Ripple cable coin, basically. Thanks, I understood the joke, Jeep. Thanks, Legend. Much appreciated. Valuable insight as usual. Night and day, CMF. Let's go, Shelly. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. So thankful for you, Miles, and appreciate all you do. Kim, thanks so much for the kind words. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Thanks for everything, Miles. Be well. Leaf. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Good night, and thank you. Genos, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. So, let's go, JP. Everyone have a great day or an amazing night, depending on where you're around the world. This was a CMF Live, episode 225. Follow, like, comment, subscribe, retweet. If you watch us on X or YouTube, follow me if you already haven't. Retweet, subscribe, like, and go and check out the tweet that I made regarding Bitcoin as well on the X communities page. If you already haven't joined the X communities page of this live, go and join it. Amazing place to be in, and join a Telegram group as well. Also free to be in as well. I'll be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF, see you all tomorrow, same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. Brilliant live as usual, Miles. We appreciate everything you do for us. Let's go, Joe. See you tomorrow, sometime as usual. Thank you. a bunch of miles, and good night all. Lena, see you tomorrow same time as usual as well. Night all. Susie, see you tomorrow same time as usual as well. I'll see everybody tomorrow same time as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you're around the world. CMF, see you tomorrow same time as usual. Comments, see you tomorrow same time as usual as well. Follow, retweet, subscribe, like, comment if you already haven't. Go for it.